Take your hobby to the next level with a quality racing rig that works great with a PS3, Xbox 360, and a PC. GT Omega Racing Simulator is compatible with a wide range of steering wheels including Logitech, Fanatec, Thrustmaster, and more. The GT Omega is available now worldwide by going to www.gtomegaracing.com.
And good evening, iRacers. Welcome to ARL TV's coverage of the iRacing Grand Prix series. This is 2013 Season 2, and we are on to Week 9 at Virginia International Raceway. Yes, in the F1 car. VIR in the F1 car. My name is Lee Thompson, and I'm joined this week, again, as last week, by Dean Prescott and by Marcus Caton. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Lee.
Sup, Lee?
We are going to start off first of all with another track guide, very kindly provided to us by Foresa Gira Racing.
Today we are going to have a look at one of the most, or possibly the most demanding circuit in the calendar, Virginia International Raceway, or VIR. The track was opened as early as 1957, but was closed after just 17 years of operation. It was reopened in the year 2000 to host races to classes like Rolex Sport Car Series and American Le Mans. The track itself is very challenging to drive. The whole surrounding of the track is made from grass, so even the slightest mistake will lead the driver a long way off the track. Every corner is different with dramatic road camber and elevation changes. Instead of raw speed, teams and drivers should focus on drivability in their setup, so the car can accept all the challenges the track gives. Max Delorco will be driving our example lap today. Hello Max, and welcome to the show.
Hi guys.
The track is a huge challenge to the driver. What do you think is the best approach to get the best possible result?
Yeah, as you say, the track is very hard. I believe that here it's not much important to find the top speed or the limit lap, but to have a stable setup that allows you to arrive at the end of the race with minimum risk.
What about the best places for overtaking?
Well, I think that the best place is the main straight, because there is an hard braking and it is not hard to pass if you exit well enough from the last turn, taking a good slipstream. There is also a back straight after the Hawk tree, but the braking there is not so hard with the left-hander, and it may become a bit harder to overtake.
And let's see the lap.
This is the main straight of the track. We can arrive to a top speed of around 300 km per hour. This is the first turn, right-hander. Try to find a good traction on exit. The track is very slippery. For this left-hander, be careful here, don't touch the curves inside and exit are very slippery. Also this one in this chicane, very slow chicane, find a good traction also here on exit that will give you a good speed on this part of the track, the climbing access, very fast part of the track. that will bring us to the left south bland turn, very fast turn. Be careful here on exit because the grass is very tricky. Finally we are on the most famous part of the track, the Hawk Tree. Try to find a good balance in braking there, because you don't need much understeer or your race will be over. This is the back straight, another straight that will bring us to the last part of the track. This is an hard braking, very tricky. Don't brake too late, try to stay near the right curb. Try to find a good acceleration for the last part. With this right-hander, very slippery, don't use much curb, and try to find good traction for the final straight. And good luck, guys.
And welcome back to ARL TV. Thank you very much again to Virginia Racing for providing us with the track guide. As we heard, it's a challenging place for us to be at in the FW31 this week. Marcus, you were here a few weeks ago in the World Championship Series. How did you find the circuit?
It's a very challenging circuit to begin with. It has to be picture perfect for the full race distance. It's very tough, very technical in many areas, and the track, being old school, has some bumps that keeps things lively.
Yeah, very lively circuit, as you said. We've had not an amazing turnout this week, really as expected, because it is such a challenging track. I know a lot of people have decided not to run here, myself included. But we've got our very first split of the week, so we could actually have quite a high strength of field here with quite a small top group of drivers. So we'll see who we have in there.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very interesting race, as I said. It's going to be a tough fight going into turn one, but it's not a huge field overall, so these guys just need to be safe and carry through. We don't want a repeat of last week where it's just two people fighting for the win.
Yeah, we're very fortunate last week to have such entertainment for the second half of the race especially. I'm just getting into the session now, and then I shall run you through the grid. We're going to have just a couple of minutes then until the cars are going to be lining up and we can get started for week 9. The first week, of course, that drop weeks are going to start to come into play for the drivers in Road to Pro, and we'll see how that has an effect through the coming weeks.
You say you've not been racing much this week, Lee. What have you been doing in the meantime?
Yeah, so I have been enjoying my week away from the FW31, running in the MX5 in the Class D, and been having lots of fun making several hundred points up on my iRacing, which has been making a nice change.
It's quite the contrast.
Yeah, it's been a nice breather. Right, so I'm into the session, so let's have a quick look at the grid. So we have 15 runners in our top split then, and this is a reasonably high strength of field. So pole position, we have Paolo Moya with a 1 minute 23.231. He has the fastest time of the week for an A-Class driver, but the overall pole for the week goes to World Championship driver Fulvio Barazzoni with a 23.163. So Paolo Moya pole position here. Michael Goman in second. Yunus Nurkarinen in third. He just won the previous race in the split. Michel Mancusi in fourth. Jan Zalowski in fifth. Mikko Miralitu in sixth. Laskin Hansen in seventh. Matt Hannigan eighth. Robin Friscott ninth. That's a low position for Robin Friscott. It's one of our top runners for the overall pro positions for the week. So we'll see how that turns out. In 10th we have Juan Luis Alfaro, that's a new name to us on the stream. 11th Christian Tanahato, 12th Frank Levick, 13th Jorge Montanez, 14th Justin Lindsay, and in 15th position is Hunter Manley. So we've just got, sorry Marcus, we've got a few seconds now until we are going to be starting to grid up.
Yeah, so Robin starting in 9th place is surprising. He is leading the championship. It's going to be the first time I'm going to be seeing him racing, so should be interesting to see what he can do starting from that position.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be right in the middle of the pack there. It's going to be a tough, tight run into turn 1 off the line, and he'll be very much hoping that he can get cleanly through. Because this is the first split race of the week, there's not been any big points scored so far, So all of these guys here in this, especially the top 10 positions, but even those in the last 5 as well, are going to be desperate to make the most of this opportunity, and hopefully they're not too desperate in those first cut laps to make up too many positions. Right, so the cars are starting to grid up now. We'll just be waiting for the odd straggler or two as the timer counts down for the last 30 seconds. We've got 42 laps here of Virginia International Raceway, and let's hope for a nice clean start so we get some good fun during the coming hour. Paolo Moya pole position with Michael Goman alongside in second. Let's see how good a launch Paolo Moya gets off the line. He just struggled a little bit at the start of Zandvoort last week, I remember. So revs are starting to build up, waiting for the green light. Paolo Moya 1, Michael Goman 2. Paolo Moya off the line. Michael Goman matches him off the line initially. It's a good second part of the launch. Jonas Nukarin just behind, not making quite such a good start. So Michael Goman looking to go around the outside. Jan Zalowski moving around in the background as well. We've already got one car wide. That was Mancusi, I think. Michael Goman's lost position to Jonas Nukarinen. So Nukarinen up into second. Paolo Moya getting away in first. Otherwise behind, it looks like we had a reasonable start from everybody else.
Oh, Jonas almost lost the car and he spins it going into turn 5 there.
And everybody's gotten caught up behind. So that was Michael Goman, I think, who came off worst there. And then the trainer car just got backed up behind. Miralutu's gained the most out of that, so he's now into third position. And Jan Zalowski just behind in fourth.
He may have gotten away with this, weirdly enough. Looks like only one car at the front may have gotten front wing damage there. And unfortunately, it's a new guy, Alfaro, who has severe front wing damage.
Robin Friscott's managed to get through that fairly cleanly, so he's running in within the top 10 as well already. So he hopefully is going to be able to keep progressing up through the field as the trainer cars come down the main straight. I can see the friction racing cars side by side in the background. Mancusi looking to make up for his mistake off the start with Matt Hannigan alongside him. So already then, Paolo Moya going to be crossing the start-finish line to complete the first lap, so he's got a good few second lead already to Jonas Nukarin, then running in second. He's got a couple of second buffer again to Miralutu in third, closely followed by Jan Zalowski fourth, Lasper and Hansen fifth, Robin Friscott sixth, so he's made up 3 positions. Michael Goman seventh, not come off too badly after that instant start. Tanahatu eighth, Matt Hannigan ninth, with Mancusi all over the back of him looking to regain that position in 10th.
Yeah, just looking at those cars, Michael Goman's actually got some front wing damage, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do.
It's not a huge amount of damage, maybe just a slight bend to the left front. He's going to unbalance his car, of course, but he should be able to manage it, and he's going to get a replacement in the pit stop, so he just needs to survive the pace up.
You got Robin and Lasse side by side going through the S's. Lasse manages to keep position.
As I head into now the famous Oak Tree corner, we saw in the World Championship Series numerous cars coming to an end of the race there at that corner. We'll see if the A-Class drivers manage any better.
Absolutely. The main fight looks at the moment is from 3rd to 9th, and all these guys are grouped together after lap 1, so we'll see how close they can run for the rest of the race and who has the pace and who doesn't. But at the moment, Jonas, having survived his early mistake, he's going to have to make up a pretty big gap of 3 seconds to Paolo Moya.
So Mancusi's had a poor start to the race, so he ran wide into turn 1 on the first lap. He's had another instance somewhere else as well. He's off the back of the back at the minute. Lasper and Hansen having to defend against Robin Friscott. Friscott's ran the outside into turn 1. I think Lasser was just playing it fairly safe, looked like he braked fairly early there. So Friscott's now then up into 5th position.
Just watching a little battle right at the back between Justin and Hunter, both AI UK drivers, and it looks like Justin's just got a little slide into the first corner, but for most of that last lap they were side by side.
Yeah, we've got 2 little pairings then for the iRacing drivers, so we have Michael Goman now looking to recover his position of Lasper and Hansen just in front of him, as well as the pairing that Dean was looking at.
Yeah, and Hunter's now putting a lot of pressure on Martinez.
Yeah, Montaner's maybe not quite having the pace here this week. Oh, as he struggles into the entrance of the first part of Oak Tree there, Hunter's going to have a great run in him now down this main straight, surely. So Jorge Montaner's just about looks like he might hold on. See how much of a slipstream Hunter manages to get down the back straight here. But I was just saying, yeah, Montaner's maybe not looking as strong this week as in previous weeks. His qualifying wasn't quite as far up the grid as perhaps we've seen him in the last few Grand Prix.
And again, very squirrely under the brakes.
Yeah. So creating a little train behind him there with Frank Levick behind as well. So back up to leaders, Paolo Moya still got this few second gap to Nukarinen. Miralutu not really dropping back from Nukarinen, so Miralutu's keeping up a decent pace. Jan Zalowski closely behind, with Prescott looking to close in on the gap now. Now just looking at a replay of the start as well. Oh, and Jan Zalowski struggling off the beginning of a lap there, side by side with Prescott, trying to hold on to that place. Prescott just runs a little bit wide, just manages to gather it together, and Jan Zalowski holds on to that position for now. It's a little bit of an error there through turn 3-4.
He's lucky to get that position back, both of them making him two crucial mistakes that could have ended their races.
And that's really allowed the two ARIC drivers behind to close right back up into that little grouping, so a 4-car train now.
Absolutely, and all of them are going to get a fantastic run going down the back straight here into a relatively tough passing position, but we'll see how they make of it.
Yeah, uphill braking at the end of this straight with a little kink at the end as well, so it's you've really got to have the move pretty much done by the time you get there, otherwise it's going to be brave to get too deep into the brakes into there. And so Jan Zalowski for now manages to hold on for another lap. Robin Friscott's just settling in. That's allowed Miralutu in front, of course, to just break away and start focusing on chasing after Nukarinen in front, who we know is going to be very quick. He managed to beat Paolo Moya to win in the previous race.
Yes, but I don't think you can rely on a mistake from Moya this time, because he has a very comfortable gap. He might be able to sacrifice a tenth or two to play it safe in a few corners and just try to bring the car home.
Hunter Manley under a lot of pressure from Frank Levick as I go over the start-finish line. Hunter Manley defending up the inside, looking to hold on into turn 1, and Frank Levick looks to maybe cut back to the inside now as they come out of turn 1, but Hunter Manley covers it off and holds on to the position for now.
Yes, he's not too far behind Monteros himself, so if he can keep the pace up, he'll have a good run on the back straight, and it's going to be tough, but he should be able to get it done.
Looks like to pull a gap on Frank again. Frank's coming under a bit of pressure from his teammate, Mancusi.
That really shows a pace difference then between Mancusi running in free air a moment ago and these three cars squabbling together, because Mancusi was a long way back after a tough lap 1. So he's going to be looking to charge through the field. We'll need to keep an eye on him, I think, as he tries to work his way back into the top 10.
He's going to have to fight for every single position, because it's not going to be easy to pass inherently, and he's going to have to make sure he keeps the pace up as well as not pushing over the limit. Over the limit here, you get a wheel on the grass, and that could be the end of your race.
So main overtaking opportunities on this circuit then, Marcus, we're thinking turn 1, possibly turn 11 to Oak Tree. That would be a brave move going into the entry in there, and then I guess turn 14 at the end of the back straight. Those are the main 2-3 possible overtaking opportunities.
I would say 2, going to turn 1 on the back straight. Oak Tree is a bit crazy. I'm still looking at Mancusi, got past Frank on the last lap going on to turn 1, and now he's going to be on tail of Hunter Manley. So he has a good pace, and it looks like he's taking full advantage of that at the moment.
So actually these drivers doing a decent job so far, just trying to settle into the race. We've seen a couple of mistakes here and there, but looks like everybody's still running at the minute. Nobody has had a race-ending error as Hunter Manley slides the rear coming out of Oak Tree, so he's really lost a lot of momentum there. Mancusi's going to have the manoeuvre done before they even get to the braking zone here at turn 14, I think. So Hunter Manley just has to slot in behind, and Mancusi one on his way to getting back into the top 10.
Yeah, it's a very little mistake. Would have lost, a few tenths of a second, but enough to lose the position, of course. So he has to gather himself. His car is moving around a lot here, so he needs to settle down and try and keep on Mancusi, because Mancusi is going forward and he wants to be with them.
Meanwhile, back up front, Miraluti's been closed upon by Jan Zalowski in 4th and Robin Friskops in 5th, so it's going to become a three-car train a moment ago, with Jan Zalowski trying to recover from his little error a few laps ago and closing back into that potential podium position.
Yes, Friskops is going to want a podium for sure to keep his points lead in the series at the moment, so he's either planning a longer run on first in as he run wide here going into Oak Tree.
Did very much to keep that.
Yeah, so that was very dangerous. He would have backed it off there, and he has to really make sure he doesn't make that mistake again, because he's in a position where he can take advantage of Jan and Nico fighting for position and hopefully get a podium towards the end of the race.
So at the minute then, Paolo Moya crosses over the start-finish line. Last time by, a 1 minute 25.5. Yunus Nukarunen behind, a 1 minute 26.1, so 6 tenths slower, with Miralutu beating that by 2 tenths, and the cars behind, apart from Friskops with that error on the last lap, running at a fairly similar pace. So looks like Moya's got half a second to the cars behind him perhaps, and everyone else may be running at a fairly similar pace for now.
Yes, as you say that Mancusi got by George, and Hunter Manley is still defending from Frank in 12th position.
Yeah, they were actually side by side down the back straight. Very brave, going too wide into the start of the roller coaster. These two definitely showing they've got good pace. Plenty of respect between each other. One of those tracks where you either love it or hate it. Depends if you like to do hot laps or you can actually knuckle down and get some consistent laps in.
Yeah, I think, you know, in a GT car, it certainly is a good circuit. You know, lots of elevation changes, differences in camber as well, tight and twisty. It's just maybe not the most suited to the F1 car, which we're going to have next week as well when we go to Sonoma, and the configuration circuit we've got there as well really doesn't lend itself to the F1 car. So if these A-class drivers have got a tough 2 weeks to deal with.
Absolutely, Sonoma is just a tiny bit more forgiving than this track, but it's just as dangerous. You make one mistake, you hit a curb too hard, and it upsets the car so much that you lose a lot of time.
And I think we're missing Michael Goman, so Lasper and Hansen in 6th. There's no Michael Goman behind him in 7th, so I think we've just perhaps had a little bit of an issue there for Michael.
Yeah, I think you mentioned rear wing damage, so he may have returned the car.
Yes, that was a shame for Michael. He looked like he was running at a decent pace, hanging on to the back of that 6th position for Lasper and Hansen, so it's a shame there for Michael. I think he's our first retirement so far.
Not seeing.
Sorry, just meanwhile, Jan Zalowski's coming back under pressure again from Friskops. So a moment ago, Jan was the one pressuring Miralutu, but now Friskops is the one looking to move forward. So this little three-car grouping for that last podium position again keeps moving around, and that's allowing perhaps just Lasper and Hansen to try and claw his way onto the back of them again as well. And just seeing the replay on the stream there, Michael Goman, he just went in too hot into Oak Tree. Just couldn't get the car slowed down enough, and straight into the tyre wall, and that was his race over.
That's unfortunate. Betterman and him has made the same mistake, so this is has that to keep it comfy.
Yeah, it can be perhaps iRacing's version of the Champions Wall, as Jan Zalowski looks to come up the inside of Miralutu there, and that's going to allow Friskops again to close behind, as Jan wasn't quite able to make the move. I think Miralutu ran wide on the previous corner, just allowed those cars to close. Friskops all over the gearbox now of Jan Zalowski as they come through these S's, completely fat through here in the F1 car. They're all following so close, the three cars together, gearbox to nose, and it's going to be brave for someone to make a move into Oak Tree, as Marcus has already told us. and they all stay single file for now. I thought Miraluta was going to lose the rear there, perhaps it was just the angle of the camera. And again, meanwhile, Lasper and Hansen making this a 12-car group again.
Yeah, Lars is just sitting on the back of this, just...
Here comes Zalowski up the inside of Miraluta into turn 14. Oh, and Miraluta's now got the inside for the next corner, a little bit sideways for Jan. Friscops isn't quite able to make the move on this tight, narrow track. And I think they all just about got away with that. No damage that I saw.
Yeah, so Friscops is going to have a very good run going into turn 1 here. I won't be surprised if he sticks it up the inside.
Yeah, Zalowski stays defensive, hugging the right against the pit wall. And Friscops looks like he's now able to look up to the inside, but wasn't able to quite close in enough.
Miraluta, his car is moving around quite a bit, and he's making more mistakes than the guys behind him at the moment. But Jan, twice he has been able to take full advantage of it. So we'll see what Friscops can do, whether or not he's going to wait or if he's going to be more aggressive and try and take Jan here to stick with Miraluta.
And here's Friscops again, following so closely through his fast S's, again able to feel that confidence to stick on the back of Jan Zalowski, even in the dirty air perhaps it may be experiencing. Let's see how clean these three cars can get through Oak Tree this time. Is any one of them going to get a particular run? I think perhaps they all look fairly even. Maybe Jan's going to get a slight run on Miraluta perhaps. And it's a little bit calmer this lap by, I think, but no, Jan looks to go over the inside again, but that's going to be the outside end for turn 15. And again, Miraluta able to defend quite comfortably that time, and they all stay single file.
Yeah, so it's a bit late to try and move there, so he was just reminding Miko that he's there, keeping him busy a bit, probably trying to force him into a mistake, but he put himself on the defensive here against Friscops going to turn 1. Friscops again not close enough to make the pass, but he is very close, and every little mistake Jan makes is going to put him closer and closer. So it's attacking, and then he's going to have to defend at the same time, so he's in a tough position.
Yeah, so these three cars squabbling away, they're just costing themselves a lot of time to the cars in front, so they really can't consider now those front two positions. They're just going to be looking for that final podium spot, but then equally if we will look our way back, there's a big gap then behind Lasper and Hansen to 7th, 8th position. So really, these cars, these 3-4 cars have got just themselves to work with, and to make sure they don't get themselves tangled up. That's all they need to focus on, get a clean race in.
Yeah, it's a bit scary watching these cars so close together going through Oak Tree. You kind of expect a mistake every time, but they're doing a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, Lasper and Hansen's perhaps being the sensible one at the minute, just holding back a few seconds and looking maybe to mop up on any scraps that may come his way.
Yeah, slow and steady, this guy, and it's worked for him in the past. So these guys are fighting each other out. They're going to just keep backing up into last year. And towards the end of the race, he's going to be in a very good position when it comes to strategy as well. Once the pit stops happen, he'll either he'll have the chance to either jump them or just be right with them to fight for laps.
Just noticed as well, Hunter was down in 14th position. Looks like he was coming into turn 2. Still battling with Frank Levick and Montanez. And just lost his braking point and went straight on. Only bumped the tyres but bent his front wheel wing, so he's pitted for a new wing.
That's unfortunate. He's going to want to try and finish this race, of course. Get any points that he can get for the week.
There's now a lap down on the leader.
And Robin Friscott's looking like he's very close to the back of Jan Zalowski. It's time to come out the Oak Tree. This could be his best opportunity so far. Let's see how much of a run he can get in the slipstream there. Looks like he's just closing a fraction, but probably not going to quite be enough soon enough. Looks to go up the inside, but no, he's going to have to hold on for another lap at least.
Yes, Jan is too close to Miko in front of him, so he's picking up the draft as well. So it's going to be very difficult for Friscops to pick up the draft.
Oh, especially like that, who loses the rear coming onto the final corner. manages to gather it up so well. Bit of 2-foot hacks, I suspect, and keeps himself in the battle still.
Yes, that's the second major mistake he's made. He has the pace to catch up to them, of course, but he can't afford to make any more, especially when we're approaching the pit stop window soon.
I'm very sideways there as well. Let's just get away with it. Maybe scrubbed a little bit too much speed, but...
Back in 7th and 9th, it looks like Matt Hannigan has Christian and Michael for company.
Yeah, so things have just cooled off a little bit now. Jan Zalowski still pretty close to the back of Muralutu, looking for that final podium spot. He does seem to have a good top speed on Muralutu there as they come up to the end of that straight. Closes a lot in the last quarter of a straight or so, but not quite enough to make a move. Robin Friscop's just going to looking to gather himself back up again and close back up. Be interesting to see his lap time at this one. Now he's had a bit of a clear run, so the cars in front as they come over the start-finish line. Jan Zalowski very close as they come up to turn 1, by the way. Outside he's looking to go. Muralutu has to defend on the inside, and Jan looks maybe to cut back on the inside, see if he can get a good run here, but that's going to put him on the outside of the next sequence anyway, and is just going to have to stay behind for now. So I was about to say, with Friscott's having that one lap of clean air, he ran almost 6/10 quicker that last lap, so straight away he's right back on the train again.
Absolutely. Jan, unfortunately, wasn't able to take advantage of not having any pressure from behind to take the position. And now it's back to the status quo, and he has to try and pass Miko in front of him with Friscott right on his tail.
I think it would be a brave man to bet on all three of these cars being able to make it to the finish now with no damage. I mean, they've been so close together for the last 15 laps. They're going to be doing very, very well to keep themselves out of trouble, as Friscott again isn't quite able to close on the back of Jan Zalowski down the back straight.
Yeah, so I suspect Friscott might not have a tall enough 7th gear to take full advantage of the draft. He gets a good... the draft is pretty good for him early on in the straight, but towards the end he's falling off, especially with Jan getting drafted ahead. It's not enough. So he's going to either have to stay very close to Jan and try and go for a pass into turn 1. That's his best opportunity.
And we're going to be expecting pit stops from these guys within the next sort of 10 to 12 laps, something like that. And Lasper Hansen in the background loses a rear coming out of turn 1, I think that was. It must have been on the power. He's able to gather it back up. Looks like Matt Hannigan's going to get that position. And Lasper Hansen just having to wait for the cars behind to make sure he doesn't get in the way. And he's dropped way, way back now. So that's going to be 9th position, I think, for Lasper Hansen.
It's unfortunate. He's always been the slow and steady driver of the bunch, taking it easy and letting things happen ahead. He took a risk there. He almost got it beached on the curb, but he's got it put in the right direction, and he'll have to make up on the lost position there. So he's lost a fair amount of seconds back to the fight with Friscott's. So he'll have to really push for the next couple of laps, especially with the pit stops approaching.
So Friscott's again looking to put Zalowski under a lot of pressure as they come into turn 14, but again has to back out of it fairly early. Can't take too much of a risk as another iRacing driver there in the grass, Hunter Manley, recovering already a lap down.
And with that said, Mancusi just got by Hannigan, team orders of course, so he just flew past him on the straight there. Most likely Mancusi has the pace and they're looking for him to catch up to Friscott's.
Robin Thompson into the back of Jan Zalowski there, so that was turn 3. Oh, it looked like perhaps Jan had a slightly poor run coming out of turn 1, but even so, Friscott's just continued to close, and see how much damage either of them end up having. But Jan Zalowski slotting back into P5 now. We did say it'd be a brave man to bet on the 3 of them continuing to get through lap by lap.
Yes, that's unfortunate. Prescott has some front wing damage, very slight. He should be able to make it to the pit
Oh,
stop
and Jan Zalowski,
fine.
sorry Marcus, Jan Zalowski having Mancusi trying to go alongside him as they go through the fast S's there, and thankfully Mancusi decided to back out of it before there was any more damage.
Yes, he just has to wait because Jan has rear wing damage, so he should have a good draft.
Yeah, there we go, loses a rear coming out of Oak Tree, so Mancusi is going to be straight by, I think, as they come down the straight, as you're right to say.
But with all due respect to the drivers, it was a racing incident because they were racing so close, a few tenths apart from each other. Any little mistake from one ahead and the other is right on their tail. So it was very difficult for Prescott to avoid that, especially braking into that area of the track. Hannigan also taking Jan going into turn 1. So they're both up a position there.
Oh, Jan very close to Hannigan. He's struggling a lot, is Jan, through this slow section. On the straight doesn't seem to affect him as much. You can see through the S's that the guys behind are just catching him all the time. That's Talahasso. And Lance.
Yeah, so Jan really getting shuffled to the back of the pack. So he's just going to want to pot around and just try and make up a little bit more safety rating maybe, and keep himself out of trouble.
Absolutely, no fixing rear wing damage in the sim. They can only replace the front wing, so he's just got to survive for the rest of the race, but his pace is severely off.
So talking about pace, again now that Friscops has been unleashed again, his lap time, so he was a whole second quicker was Robin Friscops and Miralutu in front, so he's really going to be looking to challenge that third position again as Miralutu runs a little bit wide through turn 3, I think, and that's just allowed Friscops to claw himself right back onto him again.
Yeah, so that is surprising. Friscops has a slightly bent front wing, so it's just going to unbalance the car. He shouldn't lose too much downforce in the front end, but for him to be consistently faster than Miralutu shows that he had the pace the whole time. But started from a lower position on the grid than he should have, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. His fast race pace really shows that he is well out of position on his qualifying, and that's maybe he lost an opportunity to score some reasonable points here this week. We'll see how it pans out. Absolutely.
Paulo Moya ahead, leading the race, still has a very big gap back to Jonas. Jonas forever is going to be regretting that early mistake on lap 1. So it's just going to be them trying to bring the car home, not making any mistakes here at this track.
Yeah, Paulo Moya has already scored 2 wins so far this week, but no big points so far. 176 points due to not splitting. Nukarinen won the last race, as we said, and Ricardo Castellodo, pro driver, won a random race earlier in the week as well, but again didn't score any decent points. So yeah, for Moya and for Nukarinen, it should be their biggest points for the week.
Looks like Jan is in the pits, most likely going to load up with fuel now and bring it to the end of the race, probably putting a few laps earlier than his strategy dictated.
So as we head on to lap 20 now, let's have a quick run through the standings after a little bit of shuffling around what we've had. So Paulo Moya, as I said, up in front, 10-second gap almost now to Jonas Nukarinen in second. Mika Miralutu a further 8 seconds behind, with Robin Friscops all over his gearbox again in fourth. Mancusi in fifth, with his teammate from Friction Racing, Matt Hannigan, in sixth. Christian Tanhatu seventh, and a recovering Lasper and Hansen in eighth. Jan Zalowski was in ninth, but we've heard he's into the pits, so that'll be Frank Levick in ninth, Yohai Montanez then in 10th. Probably Jan's will come out then before Justin Lindsay, I'd imagine, so Justin Lindsay 12th, and Juan Luis Alfaro 13th, Hunter Manley running a lap down in 14th, and Marco Goman is our only retirement so far.
Well, I'm still looking at Jan in the pits, so I suspect his car is being held for too much damage. So throwing damage may have been... Well, as I said that, he's leaving the pits now, so that's a very long pit stop from here and there.
Yeah, he's come out with Tanahato and Lasper and Hansen just charging down the front straight, and they were the two cars that were relieved to be rid of him a moment ago. And we'll see, now that Jan's a lap down, he's going to move out of the way anyway, but it's still a distraction as they are trying to battle for 7th and 8th position. So a little bit further up, we have Hunter Manley and Matt Hannigan quite close together, but Hunter Manley is a lap down. Robin Friscott and Miralutu is our other close grouping, still battling for that final podium spot. Robin Friscott hasn't really made too much more inroads into the back of Miralutu. He's just sitting a second or so behind, perhaps just trying to wait for the get a bit closer to the pit stops before maybe closes that gap down and makes a run for the position through pit stop strategy.
Yeah, I suspect so as well. He knows he has front wing damage. He doesn't want to pit early to lose too much time to Miralutu, so he's going to try and stick with him.
Miralutu loses the rear of the car coming through the entry of the final corner there. Just about manages to keep it out the tyre barrier, and is going to lose a massive chunk of time as he got to crawl over the grass. So that's that podium position there for Friscott's. Miralutu just feeling the pressure, I think, from Friscott's behind. Now Matt Hannigan's got a great run on him now as they come up to turn 1. How late and deep on the brakes are the two of them going to be? Matt Hannigan looks like he should have that position made, and so for now, Matt Hannigan up into 5th position.
Yes, this track can bite you at one point or another. You're not safe until the end of the race, so he lost position and a lot of time there, so he's no longer in the fight for podium. Honestly, he can really pass the next two guys and make up a lot of time in the last stint.
And it's a shame because I was getting ready to say that although Marcus, you haven't really seen Robin Friscott before, we've seen him a good few times, and he tends not to be one of the longest runners on this first stint. So it was we'll see how it plays out now, but it was not unlikely that maybe Miralutu was going to be running a little bit longer anyway. So he could have been looking very strong for that podium position, but as you said, not anymore.
Absolutely. Friscott's now, he's alone. He's still another 10 seconds behind Jonas, so he's going to want to take it easy, maybe even pitting early to replace that front wing and just keeping the pace up and being safe for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I'm still sat at the back watching Tanahato and Lasse. Seem to be trading blows here, there and everywhere. But Tanahato's soaking up the pressure.
Yeah, I thought Brun Hansen may have been able to have progressed a little bit further. You know, he was obviously running reasonably far up the field compared to Tanahato, but perhaps he's just feeling that he doesn't want to take any further risks and just bring the car home now. But we'll see how many more positions he can continue to make up. I mean, in front of him, Miralutu and Hannigan aren't that much further up the road, so if he can get by Tanahato, then there could be further opportunities to come.
Yes, every time I've seen Lasse race, he's always taken the slow and steady approach. So he might have the pace at the moment, but I don't think he might take the risk to, stick it up the inside somewhere. It's most likely to wait for Tanahato to make a mistake, as if he is looking to do so.
Yeah, and you're right, Lasse it looked like he was shaping up to go inside of Oak Tree, and that little pressure has caused Tanahato to run wide coming out the Oak Tree, and that's a position made right on cue for Lasper and Hansen. So we'll see now then whether he can break away and close up, maybe not so much to Miralutu, but certainly to Matt Hannigan if Hannigan causes a little bit of a hindrance to Miralutu behind.
Yes, Lasse must have quite the stink eye to scare him off the track like that.
So we're on to lap 24 now, so we're expecting the cars in within the next sort of 3 to 5 laps. And to be honest, I mean, everyone's ended up a little bit strung out now, so we could do with that little bit of pit stop strategy, just drawing everyone back together. As I just randomly see Robin Friscott's running wide over the grass, coming through. Robin Friscott stops. Robin Friscott has retired out of the race. he has gone. I thought he was just slowing down briefly for a slowdown penalty there, but he has gone. That was very, very strange. We'll see that on the replay possibly. I'm guessing maybe he got some damage a bit earlier in the lap, and I was seeing him trying to recover back to track and realised it wasn't happening, but we shall see, just watching it on the stream now.
It doesn't look like it. Looked at the replay of him for the last lap or so, he didn't run off track, he didn't hit anything. So I suspect real life has caused him to you know, put the race to an end sooner than he would like.
So that's a real shame for Prescott then, because we saw he had, as I said, some good pace, but just as you say, having to forfeit the points for the race here at Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, so Mike Kissy just entered the pits on lap 24 here.
You actually say that, I think he might have run out of fuel, Robin.
Yeah, that's what our cameraman Alex Thompson is suggesting as well. So that, I mean, I said Prescott tends to run a bit light, but dearie me, I mean, it was at the beginning of a lap he ran out, so it's not like he just misjudged it. He just perhaps purely forgot what lap he was supposed to be pitting on. If that's the case, that is just such, you know, he's looking like it may be getting the top spot in the Pro Series, and yeah, that's not a pro mistake to make.
Yes, that is a very rookie mistake to make, forgetting your strategy completely and running out of fuel on track. It is unfortunate, but again, I don't think I've ever seen anyone make this mistake in Class A anytime recently.
So that has gifted then Matt Hannigan currently into the last podium spot of this Sunday night top split race. Matt Hannigan's had a great few weeks. He's been really punching above his weight in the second half of this series. You know, a lot to misfortune of others, but he's still been there and been ready to take advantage of other people's mistakes. So if he can keep this consistency, you know, he could at the very worst be looking at the top 5 anyway. And say maybe even top 3 as Miraluti comes into the pits at the end of lap 25.
Yes, it looks like Matt is running longer than his teammate. Miraluti in the pits now was only a second behind him, so Matt might gain some time from running this extra lap and staving off the possibly inevitable from the charging Nico towards the end of the race.
And Robin Friscott's come back out on track now after serving his 2 minutes of towing that he had to take after running out of fuel.
Also just seen Jan disconnect, so maybe the rear wing damage is too much.
Yeah, he spent a long time in the pits, so I suspect he was just having a little think about it and decided he would just try and get some points. And now seeing that wasn't a possibility. At the moment, Palomoy is still leading the race, of course. He's very good pace, ever increasing the gap back to Jonas. Not making any mistakes, and he's not under pressure, so he just needs to keep it steady and bring it home. They're both running a bit long, so I suspect they should be pitting either this lap or the next lap or two.
Yeah, it looks like all of the leading group continue by this lap round. Nobody's come into the pits this time.
Yes, I'm surprised how much longer Matt has run than his teammates. They may have split their strategy by a huge amount because they were running together during the race for a while as well.
Got Jorge Montanez coming into the pits.
And Paolo Moya as well comes into the pits, so the end of lap 27 for Paolo Moya. Look nice and clean into the entry. He just needs a nice straightforward entry and exit, and he'll be back out into the lead. Yunus Nukarunen continues for at least one more lap as he negotiates the back marker.
Yes, he has a potential here to gain a few seconds back on Paulo. It's not going to be a tremendous amount, but he needs at least 2 laps, and he can gain, about 4 to 5 seconds overall on Paulo.
Matt Hannigan also comes into the pits at the end of lap 27 as well, with Lasse Brynildsen continuing by, as well as Christian Tanahatu.
Yes, Miko was 1 second behind him when he pitted, so let's see if he can come out ahead or not. Nice seconds in the pits now.
Yes, and here comes Miraluti down the front straight. It's going to be fairly close between the two of them, I think. Matt Hannigan coming out the pit lane, heading towards turn 1, and he has got the position made. So Miraluti has come out just a second or so behind Matt Hannigan there. Job done.
So he's back in the same position he was before Miko is, so he has to now try and push. Matt's tires are still cold, so he has to build it up. So if Miko can get close to him going through Oak Tree, he should be able to get a good run down the back straight, but he's really going to have to push. Looks like Jonas is in the pits now as well.
So currently our two other longest runners are Brynildsen and Tanahatu. So Brynildsen comes in now as well. Is he going to be followed by Tanahatu? Yes, he is. So they were just separated by a couple of seconds coming in. So they're both going to need a clean stop to not lose any positions, and we'll see where they come out amongst the group who's already pitted. It looked like fairly clean on the marks for Brynildsen, and the same for Tanahatu as well. Neither of them overshot at all. Brynildsen away already. And we've got cars flashing by, so those were just 2 back markers actually. So Brynildsen just going to come out with Matt Hannigan. So Brynildsen has come out in front of Matt Hannigan and in front of Mika Miraluti.
It's very interesting. Even after that mistake, he's able to regain a position or 2 there, so we'll see what he can do over the next few laps here.
Whereas for Christian Tanahatu, he pitted just a couple of seconds behind, but actually he wasn't able to make up those same positions, so he has come out 2 positions further back. So I think that should be all of our pit stops certainly for the leaders done. So Paolo Moya is still in first position with Jonas Nikarunen in second. Mancusi having a little bit of an issue at Oak Tree. I just flicked him. He was very, very slow coming out of Oak Tree there, so we might catch a replay of that in a minute. I think he had a little bit of a struggle there, but currently he is in third position with Brynildsen then in fourth, Hannigan fifth, and Tanahatu in sixth. And Miraluti has also had an issue because he's now behind Tanahatu. He's down into seventh.
Yeah, so it looks like Mancusi and Miraluti did the exact same mistake. They both ran wide at Oak Tree and made contact with the tire wall. So they both have a bit of damage to their left front wing. This is going to unbalance the car and lose them some pace overall, but they should be able to continue and finish the race.
Yeah, so you're right, it's exactly the same mark and exactly the same piece of tire wall. So we'll see how much damage that they have got, what sort of pace they're able to run at. So Mancusi for now holding on to that third position. He's going to be letting Robin Friscott's behind him go, who's a lap down. I'm sure he'll be happy to see him go by as Friscott's nearly puts it into the tyre barrier himself and nearly gets rid of that problem for Mancusi.
So this is good news for Lasse at least. His car is in perfect shape. It's just a matter of keeping the pace up and should catch up to Mancusi, who can't be as aggressive in the high-speed corners.
So I thought Mancusi was going to be letting Friscott's by him as he went down the back straight, but I think Friscott's decided just to settle in behind and try and just stay out of the way perhaps. We'll just see what happens in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, it's a lap down. We only have a few more laps left in the race, so it's not worth going side by side with anyone, even if they have damage or not.
So as we say that, he's looking to come by and around the outside of turn 1 on Mancusi, so Mancusi's going to need to be sensible and just let him go, I think, and he does. So Prescott gets by into turn 1 and unlaps himself from Mancusi. How much time is Mancusi losing? Yeah, Lasper Hansen is very, very close already now to Mancusi, so that's going to be an opportunity for a podium spot for Lasper Hansen.
So the slow and steady approach, even with a relatively big mistake, has come around back to him again. So see what we can do here. Also, it looks like Lindsay in 10th had a big spin in around turn 4-5 area. So no contact with anything, so he just needs to try and finish the race.
So we're going to have a train of 3 cars developing pretty soon for this final podium spot. So Mancusi limping round with Lasper Hansen just behind, and Matt Hannigan then slotting behind Lasper Hansen, still currently in position. So on to lap 32 now, so we have 10 laps remaining, and Lasper Hansen is going to have this move done into turn 1, going around the outside of Mancusi. Mancusi, I think, is going to have to let him go. He's going to struggle to put up too much of a fight, and he is late on the brakes, tries to hold on to it, but Lasper Hansen now up into that 3rd position. Mancusi, I'd imagine, probably isn't going to work Matt Hannigan too hard. He's going to allow Matt, I would think, to try and stay with Hansen and try and continue to challenge for that podium spot as well, but we'll see what they decide between the teammates.
Yeah, so he knows he has a front wing damage, so he's
oh, and he nearly loses a rear there, coming through the little kinks at the beginning of a lap. Done well to keep it together. Matt Hannigan now all over the back of him.
Yeah, so unfortunately he lost the chance to let his teammate by in a good position, so he's holding his teammate up right now, losing some time to last there.
Oh, and they both run out onto the grass coming out of Oak Tree there, so Matt Hannigan has lost an opportunity to get by on this straight. He's going to have to wait for an opportunity later on. That's, as you say, just allowing Bryn Hansen to escape away now as he gets a few seconds down the road. So Bryn Hansen just needs to keep it on the track, and he has got that podium position secured. Just in the same way that Paolo Moya is comfortably up in the lead, all running on his own, with Jonas Nikarunen also all on his own, just with that mark as a deal walk in the 2nd position.
Yes, and looks like he pits Mancusi, so he either isn't comfortable riding around with the level of damage he has, or he just wants to replace the wing and see what he can do towards the end of the race.
And Mancusi stopped a little bit short in his pit box as well, I think, so he had to roll forward again, so that's just cost him a little bit more time. I think his teammate Frank Levick is going to be looking to move on by up into 8th position.
So quick wing change. He should have the pace to catch and pass Frank, but I don't see him catching Miko towards the end of the race. Only a few laps left.
So just having a quick scroll through the field, it doesn't look like we've got any imminent battles now developing. I just said Frank Levick and Mancusi perhaps is going to be the next one as he looks to catch on to the back of his teammate, but that's going to take a couple of laps to develop. And really, for every single driver on the track, if they just need to keep it tidy, not make any further mistakes, then it should be a relatively uneventful remainder of the race. And for a few of them, they're going to have probably scored some decent points, probably building on any previous drop weeks that are going to be counted against them, and look to move up into those top 10 road to pro positions.
Absolutely. Today it seems Lasse is the big winner of this race. He just needs to bring it home. Same for Paulo and Jonas. They're not racing each other. It's too late to try and catch, so it's just a matter of being safe. This track is dangerous enough, so keep the pace up and just bring it home.
Okay, so we're going to do a lap on board now where Power as he crosses over the start-finish line running in that first position. So completely flat, straight lining, this slight kink on the start-finish straight, heading into turn 1. But a mark break on a 1 marker there, down into first gear, hugging that right. It's very, very slippery on the exit as you try and build on the Power, turning the whole time. Down now into turn 3, down into second gear. Be careful of that curb on the left and running wide on the right as well. Hard on the brakes, down into first now, into turn 4 and then turn 5 and 5A. Very, very narrow and tricky. Only one line through that fast little sequence there. He's going to be completely flat now all the way until they get to Oak Tree. So through turns 7, 8, 9 and 10. Completely flat. Again, just one line through all of there. Down a gear now actually into 6th for turn 10. And now they head into Oak Tree. So again, hard on the brakes. Running with a fair bit of speed into the first section. Slow it right down on the second. You see the barriers on the inside there you've got to be very careful with. So now onto the back straight, running up towards turn 14 and then 14A, the roller coaster. So this is where we've seen cars trying to make that manoeuvre but not quite managing to get by. So you can see the rise up ahead there. So 14, fairly straight, hard on the brakes then into 14A. Track drops back down away from you again. The rear trying to get away under Power. And we're coming through the penultimate couple of corners now. 4th gear coming through hard on the Power, and then that's our lap done at Virginia. 1 minute 25 lap.
The driver doesn't get much of rest here than the front straight, so and the back straight as well a bit, and it's all hard work and hitting your marks through the middle second.
You know, the thing that's very distinctive about this track as well, there's no areas of sort of gravel runoff or tarmac runoff or anything. It's just grass right up to the very edge of the track all the way around. No very deep sort of curbs either, so you've really got to be staying between the white lines pretty much the whole way around, which is fairly unusual really for a track that a Formula 1 car sees.
Very true, but it's more of a challenge for drivers and less of a spectacle of a race to watch. The drivers that survived this race, and last say, you know, he's in 3rd position at the moment because a lot of drivers ahead of him made a mistake, well, a bigger mistake than he did. So he survived, so he has that +1 accolade, and just needs to get it to flag and get all that points.
So in 4th position, looked like Matt Hannigan had a little bit of a scruffy lap last time by perhaps. So he's coming under a little bit of pressure maybe from Christian Tanahatu, who was over a second quicker the last time by. So we'll see if that's going to continue to develop for that 4th position. That would be Tanahatu's strongest result, I think, if he manages to get that extra spot. Not long left to go now, so he's got not a huge amount of time to make that move if he's going to. Just needs to put Matt Hannigan under pressure as Matt Hannigan feels that pressure, and wow, so fortunate to keep it out the tyres on the inside there. The car was drifting all the way around through the Oak Tree 2 corners, and looked like he probably ended up not losing a huge amount of time, gathered it up very nicely. And 6th and 7th position, no Lucio under lots of pressure from Frank Levick. So Frank Levick looking to get that move done into turn 14, and he manages to. So Frank Levick now has moved up into 6th position, and I thought he was going to outbrake himself a little bit coming through turn 15 there. But he manages to hold onto the track, and he's going to be looking to break away.
Yes, Mancusi is not too far behind, but I'm surprised. I thought Nico had the pace, so didn't think he had much more damage, so maybe his suspension may have been bent just a little bit, and he's not able to push the car as much as before.
And the battle between Tanahatu and Matt Hannigan's just taken a little bit of a knock, with Tanahatu getting stuck really with the back marker, trying to get by, so he's lost a little bit of time. It's a tough circuit for a back marker to get out of the way, so it is going to be generally best just to stick to your line, but I think Christian just lost a reasonable amount of time there trying to negotiate it.
Oh, and it looks like Miko let Mancusi by, so he knows he doesn't have the pace, and fighting for position would have been more dangerous than it's worth, so it's down 2 positions, and Mancusi is now ahead.
Yeah, it's a real event with the last few laps remaining. It's just seeing whether Tanahatu can close back onto Matt Hannigan and challenge that 4th position. Otherwise, it's going to be a matter of waiting for the laps to tick on by and see how it's affected then the point scores for the week. As I watch Mancusi still struggling with his car, trying to keep it on the black stuff, stay off the grass.
Yes, Talado is closing in on Hannigan a bit there. It was over a second lap ago, now it's just over half a second, so. Talado's car is moving around quite a bit. He lost some time there in the first sector. So he's going to be looking to make that up, but the race is coming closer and closer to the end, so he doesn't have long to catch him and then set up a passing maneuver.
Yeah, so Tanahatu closing well on the brakes there, coming for Oattree, so he gained a good little chunk of time there just through those 2 corners, even though it looked fairly neat and tidy from Matt Hannigan. So Tanahatu's feeling confident in a minute. He was quicker again last time by, 7/10 quicker. And Matt Hannigan perhaps looks a little bit more comfortable coming through that final section of the circuit, getting on the power, but Tanahatu looks like he's going to get the top line speed down the straight, and he's going to be closing again. So we had a 25.8 from Matt Hannigan that time by, and a 25.4 from Tanahatu, so he still managed to close by 4/10.
Yes, he has the pace, but his car is moving around quite a bit, so what he gains, he loses, and he's either really trying to push hard here, but closer and closer to the edge he gets, he risks making a big mistake.
And these could be important points for the two of them as they look to continue to close on that bubble of top 10 drivers. They're both there and thereabouts, looking to get an eye in on those pro positions. So this could be of some importance to the two of them. Neither of them are going to want to settle for that 5th position. As they both come through the oak tree again, jumps over the curb from Matt Hannigan on the second part of the turn. Christian Tanahatu runs a little bit wide out into the grass, but seems to get a pretty decent run anyway, continuing to close the whole time.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like he'll catch him soon enough, but he's going to be much closer going through this section here, going down the front straight. So if he can stay close to him going through the penultimate corner, then he'll have a good run going down to turn 1.
Yeah, and he is able to be closer again this time by, so he's gained another couple of attempts on Matt Hannigan. So 25.7 for Matt, and actually a 25.7 as well for Tanahatu, so actually matched the times of each other that time by. So, if Matt Hannigan just needs to focus really on getting a good exit coming out of Oak Tree and a good exit coming out of the final corner, and if he can manage those 2 things each lap, then it's going to be tough for Tanahatu to really do much else about it with just a couple of laps remaining.
Absolutely, can't afford to lose any time in the twisty bits either. So, it doesn't look that close going through the S's here. See if we can make up any time going into Oak Tree here.
Yeah, it'd be one thing making up time, but it's another to make that position, as Matt Hannigan does struggle a little bit through the Oak Tree that time, loses the rear of the car, it's slightly just drifting round.
Yes, but Talauto again not close enough, so I'm not sure how much of a difference these guys are running with the setup and downforce levels, but Talauto is not close enough. Or he's not pulling up close enough to take advantage of the draft stall on the back straight.
And looks like Mancusi's recovered another position as well, so he's made up a spot on his teammate Frank Levick, moving back into 6th position again. So looking like a pretty strong result from the Friction team. Looks like they should be on for a 4th, 6th, 7th at the minute if they can all keep it together for this last lap or 2.
I think at one point or another throughout the race, each of them made their own mistakes, so they're all going to walk away from here with the fact that they've at least finished the race, hopefully. I don't want to put a commentator's curse on them, but that's at least a +1 compared to their competitors, who has all made enough mistakes to be finishing behind them.
So Tanahatu looks closer this time coming through Oak Tree, but I think Hannigan manages to get a better exit, which is going to be an important thing. Doesn't matter how close Tanahatu can get on the approach, Hannigan just needs to get good exits coming out of those couple of corners. So Christian Tanahatu's just got one more lap to make the manoeuvre done, as Paulo Moya is on his final lap already, halfway around it.
Yeah, so Tanato, he has good pace overall, but he's just not really putting it together, putting a consistent lap to stay close to Matt Hannigan to get ahead. So he'll really have to get a really good run through the first and second sector here to get a good run down the back straight. So see what he can do. But Paulo Moya leading the race, of course, going into the last sector. Flawless race. You know, Jonas made that early mistake, and from since then he's just been managing the gap. Hasn't needed to push the car at all. He's going through the penultimate corner here, and this looks like he's going to take a win finally for this weekend. Fantastic.
Yeah, well, yeah, his third win, in fact, of the week, but that'll be by far his strongest point source. That is going to help his charge for a pro license quite considerably. Jonas Nukarinen coming through the last couple of corners as well. Wasn't quite able to match Paolo this time by, but again, should be a good points haul for him. So second position, Jonas Nukarinen. And next up is going to be Lasper Hansen, who he's just coming through the final sector, looking to get that podium spot. And just dropping further back, Tanahatu's still not close enough to make that move on fourth position for Matt Hannigan. So third for Lasper Hansen. As he comes over the start-finish line, looks pretty happy with himself there. And then Matt Hannigan, yeah, coming over the start-finish line in fourth, with Tanahatu then settling for that fifth position, but still a good strong result from the two of them. Mancusi looks like he's going to be taking that sixth place ahead of his teammate Frank Levick then in seventh. Eighth position then was going to be Miku Muralutu, who's already a lap down. Jorge Montanez 9th, Justin Lindsay 10th, Robin Friscott's 11th, Juan Luis Alfaro in 12th, and Hunter Manley, the last of the runners, 2 laps down in 13th position. So, from our 15 starters, only 2 didn't finish the race, and to be fair, you know, with the difficulty of the circuit, that's not too bad of an outcome. You know, half the field though were a lap or more down. But nonetheless, we had a decent bit of action and not too much carnage at the start.
Absolutely. It's a very difficult track, as I said. It's tough to put everything together, and especially push to try and pass people when, you know, you're so close to the limit. You know, you get a wheel off and that could be the end of your race right there. So a lot of them made fairly large mistakes, but they got away with it, which created a bunch of the gaps throughout the race. But they got to the flag, and a lot of them are just going to want to relax for the rest of the day and forget the bad experience today.
Right, so I think we're going to go to a short advert break, and we shall see then if anybody comes to join us for a quick interview, and then we'll be wrapping up our stream a few minutes after that, so we shall see you again in a moment.
Take your hobby to the next level with a quality racing rig that works great with a PS3, Xbox 360, and a PC. GT Omega Racing Simulator is compatible with a wide range of steering wheels, including Logitech, Fanatic, Thrustmaster, and more. The GT Omega is available now worldwide by going to www.gtomegaracing.com.
And welcome back to our post-race coverage of the iRacing Grand Prix Series from Virginia International Raceway. We've just seen Paulo Moya pretty dominant with his victory. 254 points he scored for the week, so it was a big point score, reasonable strength of field, 4,000 plus strength of field. So that's going to help all of those top running drivers in this race with their championship challenge. So we'll have a quick run through our thanks for our sponsors now, and then we'll drag a couple of drivers in for interview, I think, see who wants to come for a chat. So of course, first of all, GT Omega Racing. Go and check out their website if you're looking at any rigs, wheel stands and other sim racing peripherals. Thanks to them for allowing us to do our various activities. Also, you want to go and check out Sim Garage for button boxes and other electronic sim racing peripherals. And don't forget, you can find us as normal on Facebook and on Twitter, and you can check out any archived streams on YouTube as well on our YouTube channel, and catch up with anything that you might have missed. So, we've got a few drivers in TeamSpeak, but nobody in the correct channel, so maybe we shall drag somebody random up and see if they are actually ready to chat. Perhaps we can have a word with Jonas Nikarinen in second position finishing. Good evening, Jonas. Congratulations on your second place. It looked like a pretty lonely race for most of it.
Good evening, guys. Yes, it was for me a bit lonely this time. I got a little contact in the beginning of the race with Michael, and since that Paolo was pretty faster than me and the guys behind me was slower, I ended up just trying to keep the car on the track.
So did you get any damage, sorry, Jonas, from that first lap bit of contact, or did you escape fairly cleanly?
Actually I did, and after that it was a bit slippery on the exits from the right hand turns, so I wasn't able to pull the full performance from my car, but it was okay once I got used to it, and then I just had to concentrate to not make mistakes.
So you've had a good little boost to your charge for those top couple of pro positions, maybe even having a shout for the very top spot. So 235 points scored for this week. That's going to replace, I presume, one of your previous drop weeks, Jonas?
Yeah, actually it's my 8th week, so gonna have check around the drop weeks next week at Thompson, and last week for me at Spa, so it should be nice for me, and I like at least the Spa, so we'll see next week what Sonoma will be like.
Yeah, I think initial reports I've heard don't sound encouraging, so I think we're perhaps expecting a fairly low turnout again like we have here at VIR, but looking forward, as you said, certainly to Spa in 2 weeks. Well, congratulations on what surely must be your pro license pretty much secured, Jonas, but perhaps we'll try not to count our chickens too early and wait until it's all absolutely guaranteed, but you're looking extremely strong. We shall see you perhaps at Sonoma next week, or if not, Spa in 2 weeks' time then.
Sure, thanks for broadcasts again, and have a good week, guys. Cheers.
Thank you, Jonas, and you. So yeah, great result again from Jonas there, really looking like he's going to be able to cement his charge for those top couple of positions in the Pro Series. At the end of last week, Jonas, with his week in hand, was still in 6th position, so he's really going to have jumped himself well up on the top page. Right, so next up we'll have a quick word with Lasper Hansen, finishing in 3rd position, getting that podium spot, despite his little issue coming out of turn 1 early on. Good evening, Lass. Congratulations.
Good evening, guys, and thank you.
So 217 points scored tonight, Lass. That's a good boost on your challenge to get into those top 10 pro positions.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. It was more than I could expect on this track, really.
Yeah, so I mean, having a quick scan at the standings from last week, I mean, that's looking like it should put you sort of 6th, 7th position at least, with everyone starting to rack up their 8th and final week, seeing how many drop weeks turn out. We're at Sonoma next week. Are you expecting to be running there as well, continuing your charge?
Yeah, I expect to be there next week. Hopefully do good.
How are you doing for drop weeks so far, Lass? What do you need to make up?
I think I got 148 drop week.
Cool. Well, at least that takes the pressure off a little bit. Then getting that great point score tonight. So you've got Sonoma, Spa, and even if you really need to, Zolder, to get one good point score, and then that's really got to secured your top 10 position. We hope.
Yeah, thanks. I'm hoping to.
Well, congratulations. Looked like a fairly eventful first half of the race, but perhaps fairly lonely in the second half. How did you find Virginia in general, Les?
Yeah, I think like everybody else, it's a very tough track to keep it on the black stuff, But as you say, it was quite stressful first half of the race, but I managed to keep it together. Despite that turn 1 incident where I cuddled with the curb.
Yeah, it looked like unfortunately you had to wait as well for those last trainer cars to get by, which cost you even more time. But everybody else made mistakes as well and managed to recover to a strong spot. Well, congratulations. We shall see you then at Sonoma next week, and I hope for an equally strong result to get rid of that last drop.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys. Right, so I think last up we're going to have a quick word with Matt Hannigan, who is so close to scoring what would be his first 200-point result. So he got 199 points this week. But again, I think that's going to be a record again for Matt for his highest point score. So we'll have a quick word of him, and then we'll be wrapping up. Good evening, Matt. This has been a strong second half to the season for you. 199 points scored to tonight. You've got to be delighted with that again.
Oh, well, I was just happy to finish. I think that was pretty intense. But yeah, no, really happy. I think it was just because people fell off the track on it, but I'll take that. I think that was my race plan, was just stay on the black stuff for as long as possible.
That's it, you managed to do the important thing and not come up. I don't remember seeing any significant incidents for yourself, Matt, though I do saw that you nearly got tangled up with your teammate in turn 1 off the start.
Yeah, I sort of used him as a reference for where I was going to brake, and then when your teammate goes straight on at turn 1, you decide that's probably not the best of references to have taken, but there you go. Did you miss? I had a little overtake as well on Christian at one point, but yeah, that was about it. It was just drive around on my own for most of it.
No, we'll say you've done well to not allow yourself any errors that could have cost you further positions. But yeah, 4th place. Looked like you might have been having a sniff at a podium spot sort of 2/3 of the way through, but nonetheless, 4th place. Great result. We're at Sonoma next week, Matt. Of course, another challenging track.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about running there?
Oh, I'm quite looking forward to it, actually. I know people have been saying it's a bad track, too narrow, etc. But I don't know, you race what you're given, I guess. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. Just, it's not going to be as dangerous, hopefully, as Virginia, so that will make me happy.
Well, if you can get another consistent race, and hopefully we shall see you at the sharp end again. Okay, well, thank you, Matt. Congratulations again on your impressive points haul for the week.
Yeah, thank you.
We shall see you next week.
Alright, cheers, guys.
And so that's going to be finishing up our stream then for this week. So congratulations to the podium again, and for everybody else managing to get through without any other significant issues at Virginia Raceway. Hopefully we won't see it next season, we shall see. Thanks again to Marcus Caton for joining us again for his expert opinion, and thank you to Dean Prescott for joining me in the booth as well. Where is the Grand Am next week, Dean?
Good question.
Cool, good. I'm glad I asked it. So you can answer that next week when we are in again. Thanks to Alex Simpson on the cameras as normal, and I'm Lee Thompson, and I shall see you next week again at Sonoma.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Travis, start your engine!
the track, he wins his first